I now give the floor to His Excellency Mrs. Woan, Ambassador at the Permanent Mission of Singapore here in Geneva. Mrs. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairperson, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there is no shortage of recent catastrophic natural and man-made disasters to remind all countries of the need to be vigilant and enhance their national resilience to disasters. Singapore is a small island city-state of about 700 square kilometers and a population of over 5 million, making us one of the most densely populated countries in the world. While Singapore is relatively free from natural calamities, we are not spared from urban hazards, man-made disasters, and terrorist-related threats. Our high population density also increases the risk of huge losses of lives and damage to infrastructure, equipment, and property should any disaster, natural or man-made, occur. Singapore thus sees disaster risk reduction as crucial to our security, social and economic well-being, as well as long-term sustainable development. HFA has provided an important and useful framework to help strengthen national and international resilience towards disasters. Since 2009, when we submitted our National Progress Report on our implementation of HFA, Singapore has continued with our efforts to reduce our vulnerability to disasters and to increase our ability to cope with disasters should they occur. We support the UNISDR's efforts in leading international discussions on how the post-2015 global strategy for DRR could be shaped in the lead-up to the Third World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, scheduled in 2015 in Japan. Singapore believes that one of the keys to an effective DRR strategy is to have an effective governance framework which must be underpinned by 3 elements. First, there must be proper planning and regulations which are diligently enforced. For example, in Singapore, building codes are strictly established and enforced, and regular checks are conducted to inspect the structural and fire safety of buildings. Second, to ensure a comprehensive and coherent response to disasters, it is necessary to adopt an integrated approach to DRR across government agencies, led and coordinated by clearly established focal points. In Singapore, the Singapore Civil Defence Force, or SCDF in short, is responsible for coordinating the interagency response to mitigate the impact of disasters. The SCDF conducts regular emergency exercises and enforces fire safety requirements in buildings. It also oversees the construction of civil defense shelters, as well as the public warning and alert system. Third, community preparedness should be enhanced through public education and awareness programs. Individuals can better cope with disasters if they are prepared. As our National Emergency Response Authority, the SCDF conducts a public education program which provides both theory and practical training in first aid, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, fire safety, casualty evacuation, emergency procedures, and unconventional threats. It also engages the private sector closely to exercise regulatory control over the import, storage, and transport of petroleum and flammable materials. Disasters are extremely costly on at least 2 levels. At one level, they are costly because of the loss of lives and the injuries, sufferings, and hardships which individuals and societies must endure. At another level, they are costly in terms of the economic costs due to damage to infrastructure, equipment, and property, and the ensuing rehabilitation and rebuilding costs. Hence, while not all disasters can be prevented despite our best efforts, prevention and preparedness must nevertheless be accorded high importance from both social and economic perspectives. Mr. Chairperson, Singapore has been sharing our experience in disaster management with other countries through either the Singapore Cooperation Programme or the third country programs, which are jointly hosted with developed countries and international organizations, such as the US, Japan, and the Commonwealth Secretariat. Singapore also participates in the UN Disaster Assessment and Coordination System and the Asia-Pacific Humanitarian Partnership, and has deployed officers for operations such as in the Philippines in the aftermath of Typhoon Bopha. Singapore also works closely with regional countries through the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management and is part of Central Task Force of the ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance. Singapore supports efforts aimed at enhancing national, regional, and international disaster risk reduction. We therefore appreciate the opportunity that the Global Platform presents for facilitating these efforts in an inclusive, consultative, and integrated way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ambassador, for your presentation.